Here we
You blew it! You blew it! This man was a bona fide scrub.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Oh, poor you.
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you. I make you laugh. I'm here to fucking amuse you. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
stupid.
Welcome back to another edition of the Participation Trophy Podcast. This is episode 35. Is that a milestone? Do we give a fuck about 35?
I think an anniversaries is something, right? It's like,
I know 20 and 25 are big numbers. Nobody gives a fuck about 35, I feel like.
you gotta wait till 50? That's some bullshit.
No, 40, I think, is the next one.
40.
But, like, even the age 35, like, nobody gives a fuck about age 35.
Nobody gives a fuck about age 35.
It's a shitty age.
Nobody.
That's when you can become president.
35 is like, you've
like
just
something
realized
like
you passed your prime.
Something like your fucking son would say.
When you turn 35, that's when people are like, before they like, oh, you turn 30, oh, you look so young for your age. But 35 is like, oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
30,
Downhill from there.
It's because everything's become just one streamlined thing, right? It's like you've probably stagnated in your career, right? There's no ambition left.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, right. Like your child is probably 2 or 3 years old, annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck 35, man. And cancel the air horns, man. We're not doing air horns tonight. Anyway, as you all know, we are an elite podcast of 4 self-deprecating individuals. We got the resident plant connoisseur and perpetual victim of the sneaker game.
Oh.
My man couldn't score a pair of Crocs at this point. Which is kind of luck.
Yeah, like designer Crocs and shit now, man. You can't.
I'm not fucking with him. I'm not fucking with him. Jamal A. Smith, ladies and gentlemen. He is a former bank teller out of Prince William County with a regrettably irresistible attraction for Persian women. It's why you always find him loitering around Tyson's Galleria. Zayn Zaidi.
Hey.
What up?
And finally, he is an Israeli beat writer by day, Japanese podcaster by night, an Indian virgin by nature. He is actually also Bradley Beal's favorite blogger, Neil Dalal. I'm just joking about the virgin shit, man. I know. I'm fucking with you.
It's cold. This was to gas me up as my fake me out dad.
Oh my god. We're gonna kick this thing off like this. If you're listening right now, chances are it's because you reluctantly subscribe to this bullshit. And if you have subscribed, chances are you follow us on Instagram and you follow our stories. So if you've done all that, by now you should realize who our spirit influencer, so to speak, is. That's right. We are dedicating this portion of our time in Homeroom to none other than the most recent internet phenomenon and craze, Hasbulla. Got to make sure you say that shit right, man. Fuck around and get your house raided and shit. You know
FBI on our asses.
Yeah, you put the emphasis on that wrong syllable. You got a burlap bag over your head.
Exactly.
Hey, all of our devices are listening to us right now. For all we know, one of us is going to get raided real quick.
Oh shit. All right, chill, man. But yeah, Hasbulla Magomedov, aka Mini Khabib, the 18-year-old dwarf from Dagestan, who's taken social media, TikTok memes, and our Instagram story by storm. He's got 250,000 followers on Instagram. I actually thought his claim to fame came by way of Khabib, but actually Khabib got acquainted with him through his already rising fame on the internet. He's basically, I mean, his shit is just a vibe, right? I mean, he's basically what I call like the beacon of all that is good in the world. And he's captured the hearts of many, and especially the hearts of you two motherfuckers, Jamal and Zayn. I mean, every other story is either a Hasbulla picture, a meme that he created, or one that you created out of it.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm a heterosexual male, but I would bring that man home to my parents, man. Like, he, beyond just the vibe thing, right? Like, he's 18 years old. And when I first saw him, I thought he was a kid, right? Like a younger.
I found out 2 days ago he was 18.
Okay. Yeah. I remember we talked about it. And it's like, it sucks because like he's 18, but I keep referring to him as like a kid.
Yeah.
He just makes me smile. Like he comes on my screen. He shows my, like, you would think it's saturated and watered down by now, but it's not going away. Like, he makes my heart smile. Like I'm not even, like,
But you know what?
Huh?
The staying power comes from how much we keep finding content on him, like 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Like it started with
just
just
doing nothing. He could be standing there just staring at the screen like.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm like,
quick,
oh shit.
None of his videos have captions. They're all in a different language.
He doesn't speak any English. He speaks barely.
We don't know none of the shit he's saying, and it's still like, they're so good.
Yeah. I mean, him driving cars, like full size cars, flipping under the steering wheel. You know, having a monkey like groom him and shit, and like, you know, doing a shopping spree and
strawberries. Like, it's simple shit.
There's a video of him. It's literally you're waiting for like the catch, right? Like the punchline. And it's nothing, right? It starts out with him just reaching into a cabinet. He pulls out a frying pan. He puts 2 frozen hot dogs on the frying pan.
So,
well, heats it up over some oil, over medium flame, whatever, and then cracks 2 eggs and just puts them. And you're just like waiting to see, okay, where's this going? And it's just that's it.
And then
it's just the vibe. It's just the vibe. It's just him. It ends with him, eating some succulent eggs and hot dogs, staring out a window, just reflecting on whatever.
Yeah,
it's just obviously something positive. Probably it's just a vibe, man.
I want to know more about the monkey that travels with, because the monkey was in one video, and then there was another video. They were all seated around a table. Somebody brings Hasbulla in. He sits down. He starts eating like a dessert, and the monkey's on the other side of the table with like a fucking full suit on. Yeah. So like maybe that'll be the next ship to catch the wave. But it reminds me
of the
Bellman
in the Disney movie or something.
Well, you remember how big Baby Yoda blew up when that hit the scene? The Star Wars. It's very reminiscent. He's very reminiscent of that. Just fucking adorable, and a lot of staying power. So everything that he drops between me and Zane just kind of dropping shit in stories. Like I'm all so over
funny.
It.
Yeah.
I just hope he doesn't get overworked. Like on some Mariah Carey shit, this sounds like a meltdown and shit. Like, I can't keep doing this shit.
Like Vern Troyer and shit.
Yeah, like got a meltdown.
Yeah. Some of his best videos out there that I've seen. The one where he does the shopping spree. He's got 3 minutes
the
to go
supermarket sweep jump.
Got like 8 iPads.
Yeah,
8 iPads. You start piling them binders up like one after another. Like just throwing them in
they
there.
also did this one where like the other dude, Abdul Rozak, whatever his name was like talking shit to him, and like the camera, like the screen would turn gray and pause, and he'd have like the sad face on. He'd be like, and like the caption was like "Help me" or something crazy.
Yeah. No, it's the body language. His body language is that's the language right there. I mean, just. Yeah. Every facial expression applies to something that you feel.
It's a mood.
Every reaction.
Yeah, every mood.
Yeah. You were saying something?
I'm thinking about him. I can't speak. He's on my mind.
He's just ingrained in Zane's memory.
I just hope he's okay right now. I just hope he's.
He needs his own 24/7 TV channel.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll just watch him sleep.
Yeah.
Zane, his virtual bodyguard.
But there are a whole bunch of spin-off accounts now, so you got to kind of, watch the.
So that's one thing I realized as I was going through his Instagram. I saw one account, and they all have over 100,000 followers. So I see one account that has like 216,000 followers, and I think that's not even his real account. His real account.
Everyone's trying to capitalize off it. People are selling T-shirts. What I really want is like an Illmatic T-shirt but with his face on it. Instead of Nas's child face.
That's perfect.
But I'm too lazy to make it.
One of the greatest Hoop District creations was Otto Porter on that Illmatic album cover, because we called it Automatic. Yeah. Oh, that was the best thing I ever made. The best thing I ever made. I think I made that shit in MS Paint too.
That's the only way to do it.
Fucking missing deliverables, trying to work.
Yeah.
It was in Windows 2000.
I might have made that shit at Cap One Center, like on the fly, and like
doing a blowout.
Bloggers Row, yeah, just fuck.
Back when it was Verizon Center in the bowels of the hallways.
Hey, Verizon Center, Cap One Center, that fucking
MCI
thermostat
Center.
don't change. That shit stays on like 65. But let's go ahead and keep it here on the social media sensation theme. I think it feels like we don't mention it enough on here, how lucky we are to have arguably one of the best meme creators of our generation right here co-hosting the show. Jamal, I've known you for quite some time now, probably about 10 years at least. And you were touted as the funniest guy Joe knew when he introduced us.
Really?
Yeah. And just a week into being your Facebook friend, I kind of understood why. And I think that's probably where it started for you, kind of just pouncing on the whole trend of taking an image and and
captioning it, yeah.
captioning it based on a movie scene or a sports photo that you see, just kind of throwing a scenario at it. And basically to the point where now we shouted you out last week. You've created your own meme page, Jesus, Jamal. Your shit has gone viral several times, plenty of times. I try to screenshot as many of my favorite ones as I could to kind of go, kind of share throughout our discussion. But take us through the process of creating memes. I mean, how easy has it become for you to see an image, brainstorm like the appropriate scenario, and just slapping a caption on it and just lobbing it up?
It's kind of at this point, it's kind of a gift and a curse because I can't look at pictures anymore. Just objectively. I can't enjoy just an image without thinking of.
Motherfucker already threw the context on that shit.
Yeah, like
already judging that shit.
The Adrian Monk of meme making. It's a gift and a curse.
But yeah, I mean, the process is, it's either something pops in media, right? Something that's going to blow up the internet,
right?
A boxing match, a big moment in a game, some celebrity does some dumb shit. Like those are the things that kind of come to you. The content comes to you. But then the other shit that I just experienced on a day-to-day basis, and especially being in the house during lockdown, we've been bored as fuck. Not that I need, downtime to really, because I can, whip up a meme, in a couple seconds. But, a lot of life situations, man, a lot of shit people are going through on a regular basis. Being
I'm reading this one right here, and I started cracking up while you were talking, just because this shit's like instant humor. The one where you had a black lady consoling an old man, and some dude in sunglasses looking off in the distance, and the black lady is you. The old man that she's consoling is a $40 DoorDash order, and the guy looking from yonder is your leftovers in the fridge.
Yeah. Yeah, just but look, it's shit that everybody's experiencing.
Shit is so relatable.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's certain like kind of hot topics with memes that are evergreen. Ordering food, overspending, being fucking hungover, being broke. All that shit. Like being mad at your kids. Like those are types of things that you can kind of manipulate into any template that comes along. But yeah, that's kind of how I roll with it. I'm trying to
that's like half of it though. Just like finding, the life situations to use as the context.
Yeah. That's
probably the easier part. The harder part for me, I think, is, I've dabbled in meme creations myself. I've made Zane laugh a few times, but
high standards.
It is.
Give this man his
finding the right
trophy.
Image, because everything matters about that image, right? Like, it's like this picture right here, just the vibe of the two people consoling one another, the vibe of the guy looking beyond, it all has to kind of just fall into place with the context.
Yeah, certain shit, it just kind of, some certain just kind of jumps out at you, right?
Yeah.
What I don't fuck with, I mean, if we're going to get into like my process is like, my process is I have to get shit myself, right?
Okay.
What I don't fuck with, and this is one of the reasons I got off Facebook, because Facebook is where I started going viral first, but that's where people were also sending me images like, hey man, like, and then you see like the attachment, like 5 images, like thought you might be able to do something with these. And like, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, and the craziest shit is like, they're not even funny pictures. It might be like a fucking like cheeseburger that's like.
But that doesn't flatter you. That doesn't flatter you.
It's cool. No, it does. It does. But people get disappointed when I can't use their stuff. Like I tell people outright.
One of the downfalls of being in your position, like I said, is like some people just don't fucking get it. So it's like when they send you a picture of a cheeseburger, you got to realize like.
I know. I get that.
It's easy to me, but it's not that easy.
I know. I just feel like the part where they actually see you as a person who can make a funny out of something, that's flattering to me.
It is.
But I get what you're saying when people just don't understand. That, like, meme culture is very unique. You need to understand what's going on.
It's like handing Mozart like a piece of paper with like 8 notes on it. Like, play this shit.
Yeah. And the bottom line is it's hard to work with somebody else's clock. That's what I'm kind of getting at. And I've made memes for other platforms before, but it's tough to work when it's not your schedule, and that's why I couldn't be like an in-house meme maker for like an IG page, because I think I would struggle under a time deadline. Like, we need your shit by like 5 p.m. I'm
fucking upper management. Like, he's been here for 2 days and he's only made 2 memes. What is going on here, Leonard? He works on his own schedule.
I've seen the guy's other work. I mean, he's much better. I don't know. Yeah, I can't roll like that.
That's perfectly understandable. That actually kind of sets me up for what I wanted to mention about when memes first dropped, it was a very thin line. There was only a few images that people kind of worked off. I mean, you had those viral images of people that were made up characters, basically, right?
Like Rage comics, yeah.
Right. What was it? Good guy Greg.
Yeah.
What was the other guy? Scumbag Steve, right?
Yeah, Scumbag Steve.
And this is where a lot of people criticized memes. And I talked about Zane, how it was kind of a cop-out way of creating humor. Is just kind of taking like a standard image and just kind of throwing anything at it. It was fun for a while. That's kind of the inception of the whole meme, era happened right there. And then people kind of got more creative with it. How many memes have you? Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think memes work so well for this generation. I think they're multi-generational, actually, because ultimately, over time, I mean, let's be real, our attention span has gotten shorter. So memes give you like a real quick hit on some shit, and it's something you can easily share and just kind of move on, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, they're easily accessible, and I'm not everybody's good at making memes, but I think it really captures how we just want some kind of quick, like silly shit to share.
Yeah. How many memes have you left in drafts right now?
Man, you know what? That's a good question. Yeah. I go through my phone like once a month or something, delete a lot of shit. I have so many things that I just didn't finish, or it might be in, maybe I started like a template and like fucked some shit up, or it didn't land the right way. I did one earlier where I was trying to do something with Jimmy Butler and it just didn't work out. So I got a ton of shit just sitting.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Jamal lost tapes. Create a whole new page.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I did it on Facebook before. I put out a bunch of stuff at the end of the year, and I never
make that shit private too.
Making an NFT, you just gotta buy that shit.
All right, man. The only thing I gotta say about that is don't fucking retire again. Like,
when did you retire?
What was it? He retired for a minute.
I was off the scene for a few months.
How long did that last?
Did you say like a fucking fax to Abdullah saying I'm back?
No, he made a public announcement about it.
I tried to quit twice. The first time I did, it only lasted about 3 weeks. But this time in 2021, at the start of the year, I was off for I think a solid 4 months. And here I am, 40 years old, talking about the meme game. But it's cool.
It's cool, man. No,
but here's the deal, though.
That shit brings joy in so many people's lives, man. Like,
that's the thing. It's
a
lot. There's a lot of joy in making people laugh. And when people hit me up like, yo, I'm glad you came back. Like, you're like the only reason I'm following a meme page, or, you don't know how much that shit gives me a boost. Like, that shit you appreciate. And I don't, I don't get hung up on what I should or should not be doing, because I'm not, doing anything bad in the process. But the fact that it keeps people going, and, I like laughing at my own shit, right?
Yeah.
So, I'll keep it up.
Yeah, do that, because I'm thinking about making some postcards and put them on windshield wipers, like at the club.
Please,
just put your memes and shit.
That's an idea. I like that.
That's a good idea. All right, man. All right, enough about Jamal. Let's get to the hot stuff here, because Neil.
What do we have road trip for Walters?
Gotta give me a 60 minutes.
Another road trip for the.
We should play Holiday Road every time Neil goes on a trip and does.
There you go. I was asking about that earlier. We need a bit for Neil's.
Yeah,
for
man.
Neil's travel.
Every fucking week, Neil's on the road.
Yeah.
So this time I didn't go to visit Grandma, but I went to go see.
What big eyes you have, Grandma.
I went to go see a buddy out in Kansas City. Third year in a row that I've gone to Kansas City.
To see him?
Yeah, he's been out there for a few years.
Y'all
now.
homies.
Right, yeah. So we go back to high school. So we're real tight from then.
It's Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham over here. Yeah, okay.
So went out there for a long weekend. First flight of 2021 in the spirit of Abdullah's returning back to normal from
milestone.
Dreaded COVID milestone. There you go. So, went out there for a long weekend. I swear, I have not gotten that fucked up on a Friday night in I don't know how long.
Hey.
That's how you always want a story to start.
We went to sleep at 6 a.m.
No way, Neil.
Shit. Have you all ever
played?
Me
when I was 14? It's like me and my cousin would try to stay up as long as we could and then fucking tell everybody about it.
Where did you get fucked up? Hey, man, this is interesting, man. Where'd you get fucked up?
So we went over to a friend's place, one of my friend's friends, and we played a pretty intense game, few rounds of Resistance. And so for people who don't know, that's a game where you're trying to figure out, okay, who's the spies, who's the bad guys, and it just turns into a finger pointing party everywhere. So got pretty tipsy there. Then we go to a couple places in Kansas City. First time I ride a bird scooter ever. That shit was terrifying for a second, but also pretty invigorating.
Please tell me you rode the bird fucked up. Please.
Yo, one of them was real fucked up. The brakes didn't work. It took off on me once and it started doing a wheelie on me. And I was like, okay, oh no. But the real fucking shit didn't start until after we got back to my friend's place. We had a designated driver, everything. I was very happy about that. But then we started playing this game called Competitive. And I don't know if, you guys have heard about it. It's similar to Pong, but, there's extra rules. You only play with 3 pint glasses. If you overshoot a cup, then okay.
What's it called?
Competitive.
Competitive.
If
what do you have to drink for that game? What's the best alcohol for competitive?
So what we do is just, we put a shot of some alcohol in it, put some of that Mio energy drink, mix it in, and just add some water. It's not terrible.
Yo, that
you
drug
sound like you're still
lit.
in undergrad, man. Jesus Christ. That sounds terrible.
Yeah. How many hotels did you build on Baltic and Mediterranean Avenue?
I gotta stop drinking right now, yo. Jamal, put your yo.
Now you guys making me cough that shit out.
What the fuck?
Yo, give me that recipe again.
I'll make s'mores.
It was a shot, some Mio energy, and just fill up the rest of the glass with some cold water.
It has to be Mio energy.
There you go. Yeah, because otherwise you're gonna fall asleep.
Yo, can you imagine ordering that at the bar? Hey, let me get a shot of that Mio.
Mio energy drink.
Man.
I don't even remember half of that shit, but
I need to come up with a name for that drink.
We played 3 rounds. 2 of them went to OT. Went to sleep at 6 a.m. And then, of course, our dumbasses scheduled a hike for the next day. So
God.
that was interesting, but, made the most of a nice long weekend trip. And
did you get any Kansas City barbecue?
Well, so my dumbass being a vegetarian can't really do any of that.
Oh,
vegetarian.
Your body's all confused. Like a vegetarian that drinks Amsterdam with Mio energy in it.
It's like, all right, we got some Mio energy coming through. What the fuck is that?
That's awesome, man. How many days were you there?
From Thursday to Sunday.
Cool.
Sounds lit, man.
The first of many trips that we will be taking in 2021.
Your friend is from this area and moved to KC or from KC?
He's from DMV. Went to school in Indiana and then got a job out in Kansas City.
I got it. Okay. Trying to figure out the path from here to Kansas City.
He's white.
No, he's black.
Oh.
Former, I'll shout him out too. Raymond Burtnick, former D3 all-conference wide receiver for Rose Holman.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Oh, all right.
Y'all gonna play no catch?
Play a little spike ball.
Around? Yeah.
That's it?
Yep, that's it.
All right. I'm looking at my script here. Who the fuck put worst Karens of all time and didn't say whose story this was? I thought this is your story, Neil?
This is definitely my story.
This is your story.
Yes.
Okay. Fuck my whole shit up. Put your name next to your shit next time, man. What is this? What is this?
The script has been thrown out.
Why is
so you went to...
What the fuck is a script for?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck.
It's a prop, man. It was a fucking prop. All right. So you went to Ross this weekend.
I did not go to Ross. This went viral on IG.
Tell it, Jamal.
Go ahead.
So a woman goes to Ross to try to return some shoes that she had already worn. So she probably didn't have a receipt. They probably fucked up, and she proceeds to go off on this is a white woman, proceeds to go off on a black employee. It started with just yelling. It proceeded to the woman calling her a black bitch. At which point she finally leaves, and then she doubles back because she's not getting a rise out of the woman. So eventually the Karen doubles back and calls her like a monkey, like dug deep for like the slur, like one of those like
Come on.
deep South, like, civil rights, Jim Crow slurs.
Yeah, yeah.
Which led me to believe, like, man, like, thank God for camera phones, like capturing this terrible shit and just, putting the mirror up to how terrible, certain people are. And Karen is not race specific, and sometimes it's not even gender specific, but they're fucked up people in general. So I got to thinking, what are the worst? I thought about classes of Karens, and I'm going to run through the classes of Karens, and you guys, chime in if you got examples of any of them. Just feel free to drop them out.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
All right. First class is probably the most common one is a service worker destroyer Karen. So just like Ross, fast food restaurants, anything that has to deal with people in the service industry, just the entitlement. I saw a woman fuck up a Jersey Mike's the other day, stole some chips and a tip jar, going at McDonald's workers and all this, just over the most mundane shit. My fries aren't the right way. You didn't cook my burger the right way. All that shit. So
somebody who's destructive.
Somebody who makes it their business to berate, minimum wage people, service workers.
So you know who might be on the Mount Rushmore of that list?
Who's that?
Britt McHenry. You remember when she threw out that tow truck clerk?
Right.
And what the fuck did she say? She said some shit like, I'm in the news. Don't you know who I am? I'm in the news.
Yeah.
That's how she described herself. So she takes the cake for that. Trying to think who else.
What about the lady on the flight who was like, I'm a rewards, he's like, wait till they find out how much money I spend on this airline, and they end up kicking her off the flight at the end, and she had to like start apologizing and shit.
Yeah, we get some of the worst shit on airlines, by the way. Like, I feel so bad for airline crew to have to deal with this bullshit. All right, so next class is personal favorite. Do you live here? The security Karen. I'm gonna block the doorway to this apartment building because I don't know who you are. I've never seen you in this building before. Who you here to see? That type of shit. I live here. What about you? What do you live then? Tell me exactly where you live. It's most commonly seen in apartment buildings, condos, but also, you see it in neighborhoods, gated communities, and guys just trying to go fix an AC and shit. And next thing you got a guy blocking your service truck in because he doesn't think you belong here. It's just the worst.
It's the entitlement, combined with audacity, all the worst things, to get somebody to that point where they can just approach somebody, based on their physical appearance and just come to judgment at the very beginning. Like it's not patronizing all that shit. So, which is third class?
Newer type of Karen, but still very threatening. The I know my rights Karen. So this Karen had a banner year during COVID and the reopening of stuff. So we'll tell you that she doesn't have to follow certain laws, and she'll cite some fucking Napoleonic code to tell you she doesn't have to wear a mask, or like, I'm an individual and it's my constitutional right to come in this store, like, just commingling like the worst shit to come up with an explanation why she shouldn't be stopped from going anywhere. It's the worst.
And who's on the Mount Rushmore of that list? Ironically, the Karen that was named the QAnon Karen. Do you remember her?
Yeah,
she's the one that trashed that the Target where they were selling masks. Yep. She was just basically destroying that whole section. And
we'll tell you about your own health, you shouldn't wear a mask because it's harming you, but it's not her business. But don't challenge her rights because she'll.
Have any of you really dealt with a Karen at any of those three levels? I feel like I don't feel like I have really.
Thankfully, I have not.
I've encountered
you dumb.
Yeah. I feel like I've never really encountered it. I see it a lot on the internet, obviously, but
I don't think I get out enough.
Maybe that's it.
Get out more.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just look intimidating enough that
Yeah, or maybe I just lower my gaze too much. I don't really look at it.
I think that's what it is.
All right, well, there you have it. We're gonna stamp that. Those are the three levels. Well, dealing with Karens is never fun. And if you're a Wizards fan, you've been you've either become a Karen already with the amount of bitching that we've done, or you've kept yourself safe from the rest of the fan base that's become a bunch of Karens. We'll explain in open gym. All right, so Zane, I promise the Wizards bit here. We're gonna try to keep it as short as possible.
We're on the clock.
We'll talk super
You got
super
5
fast.
minutes to make your point.
24-second shot clock.
I'm tired of railing on this team, but I mean, it's been how long since the season ended? Several weeks has passed since.
Several weeks. It's been 2 weeks. Calm down.
All right, 2 weeks.
This man said several.
Well, the point I was trying to drive home here, Neil. All right, the brown David Aldridge over here.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Several coaches, including ones that are considerably better than Scott Brooks, have already been mutually parted, fired, whatever term you want to use, no longer with the team. Yet the Wizards still sit here without any real announcement, left up to our own imaginations of what's to become of the head coaching situation. Do you have anything to add to that? Has there been? I know some rumors have been flying, and the Wizards retorted that. What can you
and
speak about that?
they're just rumors. Let's be real. The second that anything is decided with the Wizards, Adrian Wojnarowski will be the person breaking that news. That man has the inside line to Tommy Shepard's speed dial, work phone, fax number, his wife's medical doctor information, emergency
now we're getting
contact.
spicy. Keep going.
Spicy
Well,
Neil.
if there's anything Woj has, this man is inside of the Wizards organization before even Ted Leonsis knows what's going on half the time. But, Brooks is, by the day, you would think gaining an increasing chance of returning. I know that I need to put a bar of soap in my mouth right now, but my poor Becky Hammond, she's already getting interviewing jobs, and I'm here like, please, Wizards, do something. But on the brighter side, Bradley Beal named third team All-NBA and rumored and reported to probably play for Team USA basketball in Tokyo, this upcoming Summer Olympics. It's been something that he's really wanted to take part of, but, past 2 summers, the birth of his 2 sons have kind of conflicted with that. So a little positive note for our guys.
Is Wizards Twitter on fire right now?
They're
making their team.
Yeah, because they're arguing between who should have made it, Beal or Russell Westbrook, who finished 7th among guards in voting. Beal finished 5th.
No, we're not surprised that he didn't make first or second.
Who's that?
Beal.
Brad? There is no way with the Wizards record that he had any chance at first.
Yeah, so the record means a lot, right? It's not so much.
Of course, and that's why he.
I get that for the MVP. I didn't know how much that there was emphasis on that when voting for All NBA. I get it. It makes sense, but
the media votes for both MVP and All NBA. At the end of the day, with the majority of the media voting being national media, it's always going to come down to what the standings are. And
I still feel like being the second leading scorer in the league on a playoff team qualifies you to be at least a second team.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's how I feel. I mean,
people tend to shit on for these big awards. People tend to shit on these kind of volume scores on bad teams. They never get their fair shake.
Is he a volume scorer?
I mean, but
I love volume scores.
It comes down to is this 30 plus points a game translating to wins?
Right, to wins, and it's defense is a factor. Yeah,
and he's not even out there jacking. He's having to carry the team offensively. Right. But I mean, the end of the year awards are just like that. Anybody know why the Rookie of the Year hasn't been announced? That's really weird. The fact that that's the last thing, and there's, I don't know. I think it's Anthony Edwards' award, but it's strange. I haven't seen Rookie of the Year take this long to get announced. This is the last. I think it's the last award that hasn't been announced yet.
The injury to LaMelo probably really cost him there.
Yeah, he was the runaway.
They were ready to crown him though. So Neil, question: if you were a betting man, you know where I'm going with this. What do you think Scott Brooks' fate is? You think he's out? You think there's something about this silence for weeks that really is peculiar?
Right, and absolutely, and that's why I said with every passing day, week, the chance of Scott Brooks returning, it's hard to say. It's increasing, and I still want to hold out optimistic hope, and you know, it's not a dig at you, Scott, that it's optimistic, but there's no way that a team can go from being a plus defensive team under Randy Whitman to then always having a defensive team, you know, 15th, 20th, last few seasons, 27th, 29th in defense.
Yeah, so that's
how can you think that comes back and going to make you a championship contending team? You can be a middling team with Scott Brooks, but is that your end goal? No. If you want to compete for a championship, you need to make an
end goal,
upgrade.
Neil. It is the end goal.
Listen, here's my problem. None of that discourse about how the team is one of the worst defensive teams in the league, it's shared in the media by any of these entities. It's all about why Scott Brooks would come back, which is, you know, Beal and Westbrook are vouching for him, and you know they don't want to upset Westbrook. No one's talking about why Brooks shouldn't come back.
Well, look, that speaks to how this organization is viewed. It's not being risk takers, not shaking things up,
and also
being very satisfied with continuity of the same faces, the same fucking. It's everything. It's everything about Washington.
How much does Ted Leonsis control the media? Let's be honest here.
Well, he does own the company that broadcasts the team.
Out of the narrative, right? No one's talking about. I haven't seen a single piece from any of the beat writers.
Let's be very real. The 3 beat writers from NBC Sports Washington that Ted owns, The Athletic, and Washington Post. None of those 3 people ask hard-hitting questions. None of those 3 people, you know, are very objectively criticizing the team.
Because of what I just said, they're not. They're not going to ask those questions. They're not going to write about it. They're not going to write opinions about it.
I feel like I think he stays, but if they do make a move at this point, considering that, you know, to Neil's point, all the hot names are they're in the interview cycle right now, you know, we're hurtling toward getting some fucking old retread if we do like Scott Brooks, bro. Like we're hurling toward getting fucking Terry Stotts or something. Like, yeah.
Mike Budenholzer.
Fucking door of
Mike Budenholzer, yeah.
Terry Stotts is the quintessential like Wizards hire.
Can't you see him here? Yeah. That's what my mind went there last week. I can see him.
Look, we do with Dame. Dame owes a lot of his development.
I don't care what you did with Dame. We have Brad. We don't need another Dame. We've got Beal and Westbrook.
That's a very Washington hire. It is.
Yeah, it's a very Washington hire. It's the pizzazz that fucking. Oh fuck, man.
Yeah, let's move on before we fucking rip the screen up.
Damn, that went worse than I thought I was going to go. Promise myself. Listen, yeah, let's get to some better basketball. The NBA playoffs, the second round is in full effect. We've got our weekly participation trophies to hand out this week, as usual. We'll start it off here. Tonight's game kind of fucked up my narrative.
Yeah,
although it really didn't though. I can still vouch for it. Okay. Kevin Durant is the first winner of tonight's participation trophy handout. Forced to be the leader of the franchise. How sad. He's only the best basketball player on the planet. And it's a shame that he has to take a leading role. Yeah. I'm throwing a little jab. Irving and Harden have been injured. The Bucks went 2 straight. So now all of a sudden there's this whole, narrative about Kevin Durant has to run the show now. Yeah, something he's not accustomed to. And the Nets won tonight. And of course they had to win only by way of Kevin Durant scoring 50 fucking points, 49 to be exact.
Can we just shout out this man's stat line? He played every second on the court.
It's amazing.
All 48 minutes.
It's amazing.
And he put up 49, 17 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. This man is unreal.
This is what I want. This is the Durant I wanted. This is when my top blows off about him going to Golden State, is because I wanted to see these performances.
5 years ago, you wanted Scott Brooks to bring him here.
I wanted to see these performances where he had jack shit for a supporting cast. He had Jeff Green score 27 off the bench. That's cool. They needed that. But that was the only guy that scored off the bench outside of Shamet, who had 9 points. Everyone else had a fucking donut. He scored 49 fucking points. 49 fucking points on 23 shots.
What did Harden end up with?
James Harden, five points on 1 of 10 shooting. 1 of 10 shooting. I don't understand. He's coming back from a bum hamstring and you play his ass 46 minutes? That's just stupid.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it was tough. I watched the game. They had no flow on offense. They had no idea what was going on.
They essentially had a 7-man rotation because Claxton and Mike James only played a combined 5 minutes. Unreal.
You
When
look
it's
at
a
that
make or break
roster,
game. It's
KD,
it's
man.
tough.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
46 minutes is crazy.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable. Like nothing about what I just said about Durant is sustainable. It's not sustainable. I know he was, because here's the thing. Outside of the big three, if you look at Brooklyn's net roster, it's jack shit.
It is. It's
Trash. Especially a playoff roster that's only a 8-9 man rotation.
I mean, that's the hand they chose when they traded away a bunch of really good role players for it.
That's true. Yeah.
Harden.
Right.
All right. The next participation trophy, the Nuggets fans, who got rocked by that Suns fan. This was probably the best thing of the week, right? It had to, right?
It's my
Suns
favorite
in
story.
4.
My favorite
Suns
story,
in
man.
4.
My favorite story. So this is what it reminds me of. Remember, like back in the day, Neil, maybe this doesn't apply to you because you're like a digital native and you've always been around the internet shit. But yo, remember back in the day, you would get your ass whooped like after school, like on the bus or something, and it was only like eyewitness accounts. So you can get it like fucked up, but you can still lie about that shit. Like he's talking about, like I beat his ass. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
What are you talking about, right?
You can't do that shit in this age because your shit will be uploaded in like 15 seconds. And that's what happened to my man, the Nuggets fan who got fucked up in the Jamal Murray jersey. And he tried to like sneak some shit in and he got fucked up, man.
Hey, karma a bitch.
He got fucked up.
I don't understand
man.
why he kept his head down.
I don't know either, right? He didn't even
what
try
is
to
he
get
doing?
up.
Yeah.
So
Some weird shit.
If you get your ass whooped by somebody talking to the camera, you don't need to show your
Yeah.
face ever again. His shit, he was leaking. He like fucking walked off. Then I saw a video today where he was outside the arena with his mans that was with him, like bragging, like, yeah, holding his watch up in the screen. Dude got his ass whooped, like saying that shit didn't happen. Like, motherfucker, we all saw the video.
We just saw this.
He hadn't hit Twitter yet. He didn't know that shit went viral.
He had
already.
no idea. He
went on IG Live, but somebody recorded it, and now it's that spread now.
I gotta get my hands on that.
So
Hey,
shout out to
Devin
Devin Booker. Shout out to Suns first of all for sweeping the Nuggets.
Woo.
Suns in 4.
Shout out CP3.
Shout out CP3, and shout out Devin Booker for replying to. It was like that's what he said. Called him a legend, right? He said find a guy.
Find info, yeah.
Need this man's info.
Fine, man. Yeah. So I saw the guy's IG page yesterday. He changed his name to Suns in 4. Good branding, good, catch that marketing wave.
Facts.
And Book replied to one of his pictures, which was like of like a, like a fucking, it was like a scenic photo, like somewhere in Utah. And D Book replied and just put legend.
Oh
That's fucking power, yeah. I love that shit.
Have you seen this guy's Instagram page? Like every other picture is him with like some dog in a mountain.
Yeah.
So this guy had no fucking intention of anything.
He didn't even want to do it.
What
man.
happened?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, quick side note. Did y'all see Joker's brothers?
Oh yeah, choose your fighter.
Fucking mafia members. Like,
Really?
Oh my god.
yeah, you got to see these guys. They're the same size as him, and
they're big
they
dudes.
almost came about the stands when Joker got in that after that flagrant.
That's a bogus
We
call.
It was
call.
bogus. It
Very
was
good
terrible.
call.
Terrible. It was a hell of a slap though, but it was a raw call. Slapped the
His-
fuck out of
his
campaign.
brothers were the Grease muscle, man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the Suns won in 4. They'll be in the conference finals. The next trophy up, all the Jazz players caught in the poster frame of Kawhi's monster dunk.
Woo!
It's
Nasty.
probably one of the funnier images that we've seen. Just everybody's facial reaction to Kawhi gliding in the air. Zane, you had a chance to dissect that.
Man, I watched that game live. You ever see those plays where you just, oh shit, you just jump up, you're alone. Like, oh, what?
Yeah, I think you
Go
shared
fucking
it.
crazy.
It ended up in the Facebook chat, right?
Yeah, because I shared it immediately, which I also I get frustrated by because when they do replays, they show these slow mo replays, and you had to watch that shit in like not fast motion but real time, just to understand how insane. Because like the thing about Kawhi, and it's like a crazy fucking poster, right? Like if we were like in 6th grade, I would probably get that picture and like fold it. I used to fold on your books and shit and put like book covers on.
Yeah.
Or like at those folders, like the dunks on them. I used to have a bunch of those with like Kobe on it. Like that's some shit that you would do there. So it was and a shout out to the people who get these photos. Like they're on some other shit. Like they're able to capture so many crazy moments, and then we've seen like the classic, like the D Wade and LeBron, the fucking alley oops and shit.
Yeah.
So this is like another moment, right here easily that's going to go down and withstand the test of time. And if you guys watch that, I mean, the thing that's scary about Kawhi is like he's so mellow and mild mannered, and he kind of operates very slowly and very methodically. And when he turns that shit up, like last night, he just had an extra crazy
right?
pep in his step. It's fucking scary.
You forget about his bounce. You forget about the fact that he's got like 12-foot long arms and shit.
Yeah,
like
and his hands and
just, man.
He's quick. He's fat. He just doesn't. And when he pulls it out, pulls it. Pause. When he pulls it out, pause. It's just crazy to watch. I'm enjoying it. And we got 2-2, so we're going back to Utah for Game 5, I believe.
Yeah.
So playoff basketball is really good right now. So
one thing about the Jazz series is, we kind of talked a lot about why the Jazz have been so successful, and it's been just so many offensive resources that they have, the ability to put the ball in the basket, and that's one thing that's been lacking for Utah in these two losses, especially. Jordan Clarkson, who's been like a prize for them, 6th man of the year, he went 3 for 12. The bench only scored 1 point. For the Jazz.
It's a problem with teams like this. Yeah, is when you have so many really good role players. Role players always play better at home, right? It's very rare that role players play to that same level on the road. I feel like maybe it's too, like, ever since the Lakers got eliminated, the Clippers' eyes just opened up, right? Yeah. Like, to them, they see the fucking championship series coming to them, and I mean the road is wide open for them.
It's true.
All right, and the last one up, the 76ers, who blew a huge lead on MLK Jersey night in Atlanta, led by 15 at the break, only 38 points in the second half. The Sixers look like they might be the real deal, Neil. Real deal, Neil.
Yeah,
are they the real deal?
We thought that, okay, Sixers are going to clean this up. They had an 18-point lead to potentially go up 3-1 in the series, more or less put things to bed and get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But Joel Embiid, kind of stunk it up in the second half. Was 4 of 20 for the game. For my smoking friends out there, you'll appreciate that. 0 of 12 in the second half. Like, Philadelphia shot in the mid-30s in the second half, like Abdullah said, only scoring 38 points after halftime, and Atlanta comes back. They didn't even shoot it that well themselves in the second half.
Yeah.
Trae Young was only 5 of 14. Bogdanovich was only 4 of 13. Kevin Huerter, my boy, he a Terp, only 1 of 5 in the second half. But Atlanta found a way to get it done. Now it's a best of 3, and who knows what happens.
I think it was Clint Capella. I think Clint Capella said something about when you wear Embiid down, like his whole game just kind of goes off a cliff.
He's had major cardio issues the last few years.
And let's be real, Embiid is still dealing with a slight tear. I believe it's in his meniscus after that happened against the Wizards.
But that's his reputation, right? Like Jamal's saying, like, even if it's not true, I mean, the Hawks are carrying a mentality as if that's true, right? So they're kind of putting it into reality, even if, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a train of thought. It's like a mode they're in now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, he looked really reckless in the second half. I mean, when to the point when his game slows down, when he was like lumbering up the court, like fucking spin moving into, double traffic and all that stuff. Like it hurt the team overall.
Yeah. And who knows what we'll find out about, how he is feeling health-wise or not feeling, because
he didn't look good.
I just don't. I mean, I'm not saying this because I picked the Hawks to win. I thought the Hawks were going to win because they could still lose. But, like, I just don't believe in this team. Like, I would rather have a team where your best player is, at least in this round of the playoffs, is like a chaos-causing three-point shooting, driving kick guard, as opposed to, like, your best player is like a super, like a big man who needs the ball in his hands and needs to post up and need to, you know what I mean? And then your second best,
is a point
second
guard
best player is a guy who can't shoot, right? Yeah. So it's like it's just a dilemma.
Right, and it's kind of like sometimes you want to compare Joel to Jokic in terms of like his presence on the floor, right? A big man who likes to work out of the middle, but Jokic is so much better at kind of facilitating an offense around him more than Joel can. So when Joel does lose that one step in his game, in his offensive game, it's very hard to make up for that,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, very true.
So, especially when you got a guy like Simmons, who just isn't offensively capable at all, unless he's driving the rim. But so we'll see how that goes. The series is now what 2-2,
Yep.
Correct.
heading back to Philly, and so we'll see. Is there any word on Embiid on his health? Is he playing? Is he not playing? Is he questionable?
I'm sure he will end up playing, but
Of course, yeah.
it's just a matter of what is he fighting through and playing through that we don't necessarily know until it all comes out after the season ends.
That's always how it goes. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. All right. Well, I'm having a blast with these playoffs. We're gonna switch it over real quick. Not much going on in the NFL, but this morning, watching some TV, the Aaron Rodgers news. Of course, he skipped mandatory camp, and we know he skipped OTAs. People make a big deal out of that. Now we're making a bigger deal out of him skipping the mandatory camp. There's really not been any details provided by him or by the team. It's just a bunch of back and forth. The Packers are hanging up the phone on any team that's inquiring about him, reportedly. And a team that's been making the most noise in their ear has been the Denver Broncos. I feel like the Broncos are always like a team that's in the market for a quarterback, even
Always.
like going all the way back to before
John
Peyton
Elway.
Manning. I mean after Elway's when they were just a perpetual team looking for a quarterback. I can't go through the list right now of who was post Elway, but they've been looking for that guy. They got a few years out of Peyton Manning. Now they're looking for another quarterback that can kind of fill in that one crucial, I think, spot on their team. Obviously, they're pretty solid everywhere else. But would Rodgers? Do you think that Green Bay would entertain anything for Rodgers? And if the Broncos are the team, where does that put them in the AFC? Does Rodgers really catapult a team like the Broncos, who just need that last piece, into a solidified contender?
Well, eventually the Packers are going to have to give into something if Rodgers remains adamant about, if he says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to miss game checks, I don't care,"
Yeah, because the worst case scenario here is what if Green Bay refuses to deal him, and
Right.
Aaron refuses to play. What's the worst case scenario here? They're going to eat up that salary, right?
Right. He'd say, "I don't give a fuck about game checks. I'm going to go host Jeopardy for the rest of my life," or whatever it ends up being. And eventually,
Get back with Olivia Munn, man.
Shit, Olivia Munn, fine. But
Fine.
eventually the Packers got to do something, right? Their outrageous desires for 2 first-round picks and 2 starters, no team is going to buy into that when they're trading from a position of not that much leverage, and Aaron Rodgers is the one with leverage.
Right.
Yeah, this is just shitty all around because it's like right now it's a game of chicken, right? Who's gonna get in first?
It's going to last. It's going to last longer than that Wilder and Fury stare down.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will at this point. It's a tough. I'm trying to think of like a player that has been of his caliber that has sat out so many games, and like the franchise would just like fuck this. It's like if you're dating like the hottest fucking baddest supermodel chick, and whoever you're going to next is not going to be of the same.
Ilk.
Same status. Like you don't want that. You don't want her to be with anybody else. Like fuck this shit. We're gonna be together. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna figure this shit out. I'm curious if it's gonna work. A lot of people give in eventually. Like they'll make some stupid ass signing, like sign some fucking mid-tier receiver or something, and then the quarterback comes back, or So I'm curious to see how it's gonna play out in terms of Denver. I mean, Denver. We talked about this before. Denver has 1, it's outdoors, right? 2, it has a home field advantage. 3, the defense has been solid. Yep. I mean, it's been solid for the last how many ever years. They got a couple 2 to 3 good really receivers.
He's got targets there, man.
So there's
not,
targets here.
Yeah, they're not flat out studs yet. I mean, obviously Judy is on his way up, and Sutton's been solid.
But with Aaron Rodgers, I mean,
with Aaron Rodgers, right? And you got Melvin Gordon.
Elevate.
He can make anybody.
What happened to Patrick Lindsey? Is he still in Denver?
He had
Philip
injuries
Lindsay.
last year.
Philip
Lindsey. Here we go.
He had a lot of injuries last year, I think.
Yeah.
But he's a dog too, so it's like I mean, you got a little bit of everything, I think there. But I mean, I don't know. Let's see. I think they need more suitors to kind of like Neil said, he has all the leverage. Like, I don't know who else is calling. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Washington's actually expressed any interest. I don't think they will, obviously. But Denver and like who else is expressing interest at this point to kind of
I honestly,
provide
they didn't
multiple
really say
offers.
any other teams that have been. Apparently, it's been insignificant because Denver is not even entertaining any of it. So, but I think because Denver is considered the best fit, and apparently they've been making the most calls.
Yeah,
That's why that they were talking about them.
it's gonna be a waiting game, like Neil said. It looks.
Well,
like
I've said
that.
before, and I've said it too. This is probably gonna go well into training camp. It's not. Green Bay's not gonna give it up. So, you mentioned Washington. I know that there's been somewhat of a competition there. Fitzpatrick comes in. Heineke, obviously the Cinderella hero from last year's run. I really kind of personally saw it as Fitzpatrick being the guy that was going to come in and be the number one starter. Jamal, you had your homie Steve
Yep.
submit some fan mail, a long time listener of the show, talking about this.
Steve, yeah, my boy Steve, the biggest Washington football fan I know. I can tell he's not thrilled about either one of these choices. Right? I mean, he was hoping for some type of quarterback in the draft, and that didn't happen. I know he was a little disappointed in that because you want to start grooming your guy for the future. And Washington, of so many teams, has had probably one of the worst quarterback situations in recent memory. Just a glut of just like bad luck. So, when Fitz came in, he was trying to buy into the idea of Fitz, but he was also very impressed with Heineke at how he closed out the season. But he, according to Steve, Heineke is getting a lot of the buzz coming out of these early OTAs and training, and he said he's kind of shifting his attention to believing that Heineke is going to be the starter, and Fitz, because just off the simple notion that Fitz, he's older, he has a shorter leash, Fitz is turnover prone, so he believes it's going to be Heineke's job at the start of the season, and he's kind of he's watching old film of him and all types of shit like he's an assistant coach, like trying to get his his mind on it. So yeah, I don't know what you guys thought about that, but it seems that things might be trending that way for Fitz not to start. I know Fitz gets a lot of attention because he's a very likable guy. He's a journeyman in the NFL. I mean, they have fucking video of Fitz with like fucking cicadas in his beard the other day. Like he's one of these guys that gets a lot of attention around the league, but best man's got to get the job. And, I know.
So as a Dolphins fan who actually went through this almost a carbon copy of this scenario last year with Tua, honestly.
Okay. Speaking of that,
Tua, going into training camp, there was the same bickering back and forth between, fans and pundits and analysts about whether they thought it was going to be Tua or Fitzpatrick who was going to start the season. Ultimately, for Miami, it was the guy that was most experienced and the most comfortable in a game experience.
Okay.
And so Fitzpatrick, but the coaching staff did have an internal target date for when Fitzpatrick's time was going to be up and Tua was going to step in. But this is considering that Miami knew Tua was going to be the franchise quarterback of the future. I don't know if Washington, I'll let Neil and Zane speak to this, if Washington feels like Heineke is their, flat out guy of the future. I don't think so, obviously. No. So there might not be as much investment in Heineke as there was for Miami and Tua. So I would expect Washington to go with Fitzpatrick until they feel otherwise. If Fitzpatrick, I thought personally last year that Fitzpatrick by week 5 or 6 was going to slow down. He was 38 years old. Mm-hmm. I was like, just naturally Tua was going to phase right in.
Right.
And Fitzpatrick was going to, just kind of just hang it up. It never happened. Fitzpatrick is a dog. He's a fucking dog.
Yeah.
And he saved so many games for us where, again, it was Miami's strategy. I don't know what Ron Rivera's is going to be, but he had a strategy of as soon as Tua struggles, Fitzpatrick is jumping in and he's finishing the game. So you guys can kind of speak to how you feel Washington's going to take the approach with him here.
So, wasn't a Chicago Bears, Andy Dalton, tweeting out QB1 kind of situation in Washington. Rivera said from the beginning, it's not necessarily anybody's job. Sure, there could be a front runner, but they will have this potential open competition. And yeah, I'm very well sure that, as Jamal's friend is saying, that if there's enough buzz, if Heineke shows enough throughout minicamp, throughout training camp, which is still to come, sure, there's a potential that Heineke could be the day one starter. He knows Scott Turner's system from Carolina. That's how he initially got with Washington, as a practice squad member last season when things went south for Dwayne Haskins. But to me, at the end of the day, I'm still thinking, unless Ryan Fitzpatrick really starts thinking it up, and I think it would have to be early into the season. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick gets the job week 1. You need that veteran quarterback who can move the ball quite a bit, up and down the field if you want to take this team to the next level. I don't think you can really roll the dice on an undrafted quarterback out of Old Dominion thinking that, he's really going to elevate your ceiling much from what it was last season.
Yeah. My thoughts on this are anytime I see, I'm not saying I don't believe in quarterback competitions, but when I see a team in a situation like this, it's kind of like what Marlowe says, right? Sounds like one of them good problems, right? They essentially are pitting their assets against one another, right? Anytime you have a competition, it's never really about, it's a competition, but it's also like one guy's going to motivate the other guy's going to motivate the other, right? And in this scenario, you have Fitzpatrick, who is, has been written off here and there, had a strong showing last season, got benched, came back, and like Abdullah alluded to, rescued the Dolphins to, a certain extent, and brought them back into some sort of prominence in the playoff hunt. But the key point here is that Fitzpatrick is, I'm not going to say 100%, is likely working with the first team. Heineke's playing against the second team, right?
He should be lighting it up against second team DBs.
Exactly, right? And so it's a compliment to him. He's good enough to light up the second team. It's not like he's sucking it up. But he wouldn't have that same level of success against the first team, right? He's not going up against Chase Young. He's not going up against the top pass.
William Jackson the third.
How's Fitz doing?
Yeah, he's not going up against their number 1 draft pick, the linebacker. He's on the first team. So that's the key point here. The money is also important. Obviously, if the Redskins find their quarterback of the future, they don't give a shit about Fitzpatrick's $10 million, right? It's a 1-year deal.
Right.
But that might also play into it. So at this point, to them, they're salivating over this. It's a win-win for them. Let's say Heineke starts and he stinks it up. You have the reliable veteran quarterback on the bench who's already came off the bench and showed out and it never shattered his confidence, right? And if not, you have Fitzpatrick starting, and if he plays well, you have Heineke on the bench who's been tearing it up in training camp. He's on the trade. Someone might fucking trade for him. You never know. So this is just one of those good problems for the Washington football team. That's how I look at it. But I'm leaning towards Fitzpatrick, just based on him playing against the first team.
Yeah.
There might be a very good chance that Washington uses the same kind of open mind approach with their quarterback over the course of the season. When the game gets really gritty, and it's a close game, and you've got 1 drive left or 2 at the most, I wouldn't be surprised if Washington decides to kind of use that same kind of strategy where Fitz becomes that savior of the day, basically.
Gonna complete
so
some
his game experience in those situations.
40-mile Hail Marys while getting his helmet ripped off.
It all kind of falls back on the confidence that you mentioned, saying, right? Like, his confidence is never shattered. Like, in any situation on any given play, like, he'll make something if he has the chance to. Right. And it can be erratic and it can be hard to watch sometimes. I'm not saying this guy's reliable on every down, but that those kind of attributes could help in key moments. So we'll see how they go with that. We're gonna go ahead and switch gears from the NFL. We got some fights to talk about. We'll turn it over to our Pakistani Larry Merchant.
Fucking hate Larry Merchant.
YouTube versus TikTok matches. Yeah,
Larry Merchant.
I'll kick your ass.
Jim Gray, you like Jim Gray?
I don't like it. Well, he's
passable. Yeah.
Oh man. But we had some YouTube versus TikTok matches, a packed weekend of battles, UFC, boxing, celebrity boxing. Larry Merchant rolling over in his grave, and he ain't even dead yet. Zane, take it away.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. There's like so much shit going on this past week that we've been talking about on the chat. Like, I want to say, I was looking forward to this fight weekend because the card was amazing. You had the headliner, you had Adesanya against Vittori. There was a lot of good press conferences leading up to that, a lot of shit talking. We had that fight, and the runner-up. I mean, the second co-main event in some sense was Moreno versus Figueroa. And if anybody hasn't seen Moreno versus Figueroa Part 1, that was the fight of the year. It was probably arguably the greatest UFC fight I've ever seen. And this happened less than a year ago, and this was a rematch. This is a co-main event. And then you had, under that was Diaz versus Edwards. So all in all, just a great card. I'll get into that in a moment, but I just remember, I have this TV package that basically, allows me to see what pay-per-views are coming on. And it's like 50 pay-per-views. It's like all sorts of crazy shit. Like I know I've sent you guys like the slapping competition. Like that's on pay-per-view. I can watch that shit, right?
That shit's on pay-per-view.
It's on pay-per-view. Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
I mean, even if it's not on pay-per-view, it just throws it up there, right?
Yeah,
It just throws it up there. Because like the rap battles I watch is like they're on an app called Caffeine, and Caffeine's a free app that like Drake invested like $100 million into.
Yeah.
So like, I'm able to watch those for free, even though I can watch for free on my laptop. I can just put it on my TV instantly, right? So I don't know what day it was. I was just kind of skimming through, and I saw Aaron Paul versus Lamar Odom, and I'm just like, holy shit, I thought I'd heard about it, but I didn't follow the story. So then I turned that shit on, and it's like all sorts of wild shit. Like Paul Malignaggi's doing the announcing, but then like I hear Ice-T's voice, and I'm like, like I thought Law and Order was like playing on my phone or some shit because I heard his voice.
My favorite.
I heard Coco. It was Ice-T and his wife were commentating along with Paul Malignaggi, and then
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I swear, all these celebrity matches sound like. Remember, we described it sound like a dream.
Yeah, it's like a dream sequence you watch.
Damn, I was watching something. And I saw fucking Lamar Odom, and all of a sudden I heard like Ice-T's voice. Like it sounds like you go to bed fucked up, you just have a crazy.
And then your boy's like, man, you got some crazy ass dreams, bro.
Yeah, like no, man, I swear this shit was real.
Ice-T was at a boxing match with Lamar Odom.
Yeah, Ice-T.
So Coco's titties under the ropes, and like, oh.
It was just a shit show. And then like I was watching that, like the undercard was on, and like the first undercard was like Witherspoon, like the retired guy. He was 63 and he was fighting this dude. He was like 43. And I'm just like, I'm going crazy. Like I'm just talking in the chat, I'm like sharing on IG.
Motherfuckers been fighting in like Target short sets, like
he was wearing a full-on t-shirt. Like he didn't even take his shirt off.
Like those basketball shorts with no pockets and shit, and like the fucking
fucking N1 shorts. Oh my god, I can't believe I still wear N1. No, I haven't worn them in a while. But so I had that fight, and then I was like, I can't wait. I don't want to check the undercard because it's like what the hell's gonna happen next? And then like Peter Guns came out with like Lord Tariq, and he was fighting.
When you dropped his name in the fucking chat, I was like,
yeah,
Lord Tariq was there too.
I think he was there. Yeah,
I
believe he was there. And it's like I could have given you 200 guesses on who was fighting. Like, hey, there's a rapper from the 90s, 2000s who was fighting, and none of y'all would have guessed that. I don't think anybody would have said Peter Guns, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He was fighting some dude he had beef with on like Love and Hip Hop, like or some shit. And then the Aaron Carter Lamar Odom fight happened, and you guys saw how that turned out. That Jones, Aaron Carter was just like, "Fuck that, I'm done, bro."
Yeah,
just wave it off. So that happened, and then fast forward to Saturday. I'm waiting for the Adesanya, like the UFC card to fight, and then I see this thing called YouTubers versus TikTokers. And I turned that shit. I'm like, what the hell is this? And it was like YouTuber boxers versus TikTok boxers, like just famous dudes. And like the tail of the tape would be like, oh, Diaz has 6.9 million followers on TikTok versus blah, blah, blah has 4.8 million, on you. And it was packed. It was in Hard Rock Stadium.
Yeah.
It was fully packed. And like Jamal said, it just felt like I was in an alternate reality, man. I was just
so my kids watched this. They caught streams on YouTube. I don't know if they were watching illegal streams or what.
Oh yeah,
I can't keep up with fucking kids anymore. But
raised them well.
Yeah, they knew everybody that fought. They had people they fucking absolutely hated. So they were way into it. I was trying to keep up with them. I was like, what the fuck are y'all watching? Yeah.
That shit was crazy. I mean, it's all led to the main fight, and I mean, pretty much just the highlights. Nate Diaz pretty much is getting his ass whipped for 4 rounds, like bleeding, and dudes are cheering for him. Like he's a guy who wins even if he loses because he's getting his ass kicked and he's bleeding and he's still fighting. He had like a huge cut over his eye, covered in blood. And the last 45 seconds, he lands a shot and wobbles the guy. Instead of running towards him, he's taunting him, and then he ends up trying to race against the clock to knock him out. It doesn't happen. And then if anybody saw, the Adesanya fight, just outclassed Vittori. Just this dude's just hilarious. Like I don't know if you guys saw the clips.
He memed that man.
He's fighting the dude, and he just like the dude was just trying to grapple the whole time unsuccessfully, and at the end he was just grabbing his ass and like squeezing his ass like on camera. There's all sorts of wild shit.
And Adesanya was literally mocking him for the final 10 seconds of the fight. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so
when he was
hurt.
hitting him in the leg, he was like fake crying and shit.
Yeah, I saw that part. I saw that.
Dude's just amazing. And then he left the fight like after his interview to the Rock's music, like impromptu, like just creating those funny moments. You know what I mean? So
called out his next fight too, right?
Yeah. So it's
a
tough
lot
for
of-
me because we've been talking about this boxing first, and like here we have these two horrible events, but you can't stop watching because of how ludicrous it is. And then UFC comes out with one of the most amazing cards ever. You know what I mean? Just every week they got something, right? So it's a tough spot, but like I said, I'm enjoying to have something to watch on Saturday nights.
Sure.
Me personally, so
Yeah.
Is this becoming a Sunday trend?
Saturday, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Saturday. Yeah, hopefully no more Sundays. So that shit just messes me up. But
Facts.
every Saturday night there's something. There's supposed to be a Teofimo Lopez fight this weekend. It got canceled, I think, because he got COVID. So that got pushed out till August. And then obviously we got Fury Wilder. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, who's still getting COVID, right?
Jesus Christ.
Fury Wilder, July 24th. We got Spence Pacquiao again, August 24th. I want to say. So Fury Wilder's building up right now. So got a lot of fun stuff to watch.
This YouTube versus TikTok shit. Let me go back to this real quick. Am I the only one that doesn't know who the fuck any of these people are?
I didn't know any of them.
I don't know him either. I don't know him either.
I don't know. Any
Landon McBroom
No,
versus
ask-
Ben
ask-
Azalart.
Ask Zara if she knows who they are. Because for like they're like our how we looked at like pro athletes and shit.
Yeah.
Like kids look up to like.
You know
YouTube.
what Zara? Do you know what Zara watches?
What's that?
Zara watches other kids playing Roblox.
Yeah.
And
Well, my
then-
kids
and
were
then-
doing that when they were a little younger.
Roblox
And
streamers.
she'll ask me how to spell the game that they're playing in her Roblox so she can go in there and play it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, my son, especially my younger son Jack, he's heavy into TikTok. So
okay.
they watch these guys just like we watch, fucking KD and shit. Like
Yeah, and we can talk about this in a more stretched out conversation, but I want to get Zara into TikTok, but I don't at the same time, just because I see what it can be used for.
yeah,
I need to put her shit out somewhere. She's just full of quotes and shit she said.
It's like with anything else. I mean, I'm not to get off topic, but you just have to keep your eye on it. You know what I mean? Because the main demo for TikTok is like fucking 18 to like 25.
Yeah, I seen that shit, man.
So when you keep swiping into the fucking like For You section, you might come across some crazy shit. And that's why I gotta keep my eye on my sons.
Yeah, the dad be hovering over the shoulder. Oh, that's on TikTok. How I get on there?
Yeah,
I'll get on there real quick.
Might be some ass shaking as she comes across. It happens.
All right, man. Is that it? No, is there anything else coming up? I know we talked about Deontay Wilder and Fury a few weeks
I'm
ago.
excited about that, honestly. It's just so many
we
mind
saw
games
that
going
press
on.
conference. That shit was
That shit was amazing.
Yeah.
So bad.
Stare down.
the 6-minute
Yeah,
stare
looking
down
forward
and yeah. All right, that's about it, man. We might start putting some of these boxing matches in theater next week. I think we're slowly leaning towards that direction. Speaking of which, we'll go ahead and head into that now. All right. The TV lineup is a little bit thin this week, which gives Zane his opportunity to remind you of an old movie that you might have missed this week. What you watching, man? What you rabbit hole into? Arbitrage, starring Richard Gere and Susan Sarandon. This is a 2012 flick. Not too old.
Not too old.
Relatively.
That's a
I heard those
2012
names. I was
flick.
like, this is like 84.
Yeah.
Richard Gere, I don't know the last time he's done a movie, but
I know,
2012
right?
he looked pretty relatively young compared to maybe
Okay.
how old he is now. Susan Sarandon always looking good. I ain't gonna lie, that's like my secret old lady crush. I have no idea why.
That's weird. Yeah, that's weird.
If- you got that grown woman sexiness, just like take care of you, just like put up with your bullshit. Like,
you.
I like where you're going with it, but I don't think Susan Sarandon does that for me. I think that's just
Really?
I got.
I might have to send you some pics.
To each his
Oh
own.
God, here we go.
He gonna get you on Wiki Feet later.
Send them to the group. Share the wealth.
The MILF influencer. Our resident MILF influencer, Zane Zadie here.
Suicide Rain is bad.
Okay.
Anyways, 2012 film. It came on again last week on my channel, which has like I think 24/7 Richard Gere movies or some shit. I don't know. It came on TV, and I was kind of reminded about how much I love this movie. I had watched it a few years ago. I was kind of surprised because I hadn't heard about it. I mean, just to give you the quick numbers, you got a 73% on Metacritic, you got an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. Roger Ebert gave it 4 stars. It is the kind of movie I like. It's kind of very suspenseful. There's crime involved. There's all sorts, corporate crime, actual crime, whatever. It's basically Richard Gere plays a 60-year-old New York hedge fund magnate. It kind of brings up memories of Bernie Madoff, in the sense that he runs this crazy successful company. He's a hedge fund guy, and they're making a lot of money. But in actuality, he's pretty much hiding about $400 million in losses. So he's actively committing fraud in this movie. It's made to seem like everything is going okay, but it's clearly not. So you kind of have this main character it looks like everything is great on the outside, but in actuality, shit's pretty fucked up, and he's clearly not a good person, but he's some sort of an anti-hero. The fly in the ointment here, in addition to that, is his daughter runs the company. She's the CFO. So in this situation, if he is caught for any fraudulent activity, her being the CFO, she's screwed too. You know what I mean? She's going to lose her license. She's going to lose any opportunity that she has. So it's kind of in these movies, you find yourself like, okay, well, she's the daughter and he gave her a job, and without him, she's nowhere, but he's so screwed up that he's jeopardizing her career, her life.
It's basically Cedric Daniels and his wife.
Basically, yeah. Cedric, I could lose my license. So basically, we have the fraud, right? It's very clear from the movie that he's hiding this fraud within his company. And, within this, he's in a rush to sell his company, right? So you kind of have that race against trying to sell the company before all this auditing is done. The fraud's uncovered. At the same time, it's shown in the movie that he's cheating on his wife. His wife knows. So he's just a guy that's so many secrets. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there comes a certain climax in the movie where some other shit hits the fan for him, right? And it's one of those situations where, like, if you watch a movie and you're like, if this ever happened to me, what the fuck would I do? Right? Would I compromise whatever moral compass I have and save myself to a degree, or would I just keep lying? Right? So that's kind of the theme of this movie. In a sense, Hitchcock always had this theme, or like something he was very familiar with, of the innocent man accused. You're watching an innocent man who's accused of something and he's trying to save himself, and you're rooting for him, right? But nowadays in movies, it's like we're so in love with anti-heroes, right? Yeah. So like even if we see a fucked up main character doing fucked up shit, we're still rooting for him. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the gist of the movie. I think it's exciting. It's somewhat of a slow burn, but it's very interesting, and it proposes a lot of moral dilemmas. And it's just the level of excitement is that you have a character who's basically, people are after him in some sort of sense, and he's really trying to cover his tracks and kind of fix it before the end of the movie. So it's a movie I recommend. Has a good cast, as mentioned. 2012. Great reviews. It's definitely something I recommend for anybody who loves these kind of movies, in terms of it's a drama, but it has some suspense and it has some thrills in it. So I definitely recommend this movie.
Sweet.
This shit reminds me of an old boss that I had for an AV company that I worked for, who always got caught up in this kind of shit, like just random fraudulent shit. Like he wouldn't pay payroll tax or some shit, right? Yeah. Like the IRS would show up at his door like a year later, right? And he was constantly changing the name of the company because these auditors would constantly be harping at his ass. We used to be an IBM Toshiba authorized dealer, which meant that we had access to their warranty and to parts and stuff like that. And so what this motherfucker would do, and this is like in the 2001, 2002, so early 2000s, eBay was just popping off, and a lot of minds and strategies weren't really put in place, in terms of like what you can do on the internet in terms of like buying and selling. Yeah. So this motherfucker, right, would have us filing all these claims for different parts, laptop parts, like LCD bezels, keyboard bezels, not even the actual keyboard, but just like the bezels and the shells, just so he can get the new parts for free and then resell them on eBay.
Oh my god. Jesus.
And who was doing that
wild
shit? like you know what I mean? Like, and this is what he was constantly up to, like these kind of sort of things where the IRS just kept on catching up to him. He constantly was. We went from, I mean, I'm not going to name drops company names, but we went from one name to the next in the span of just like a handful of years.
Damn, man.
All the
People
time.
be coming up with all sorts of like.
It's
There was
crazy.
a dude who a law firm I used to work at. They got ripped off because this dude resold $46,000 of toner.
Yeah.
He was just stealing toner, reselling that shit. Oh my lord.
That's it, man. Yeah. Yeah, that industry is crazy, man. All right, so arbitrage. Where did you watch that on? I know you plugged this. Just for the people who don't listen like me.
That's a good question. It's on Hulu.
Hulu, okay. So catch it on Hulu. We'll keep on going here. Making headlines today, or should I say, making Twitter posts today. Kevin Hart got on social media this afternoon to clap back at all the haters and the shit talkers, just railing off at his accomplishments. Jamal, go ahead and guide us through the pain.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There's something that I caught wind of before we got on today. I caught it kind of like, I don't know what the inception of it. I don't know where it started or who irritated Kevin Hart for him to go on Twitter and start dropping stats about, kind of started off as like some persecution complex, just like, I've been told I'm not funny, but here's the stats. Like I got, 2 of my stand-ups are like the highest grossing stand-ups ever. And, I sell out this arena and this and that. And fine. Kevin Hart remains one of the more polarizing stand-up comedians in period. Like not even just in Black culture, but just period. Because people either love his shit or like think it's terrible. I happen to be in the latter camp. I think Kevin Hart's much better as a character actor in film than he is doing stand-up. I don't like his stand-up. I think one of them was kind of passable to me, but in general, I just don't fuck with his style. But he's doing something right because he sells out fucking football stadiums, right? Like just gigantic arenas. I don't think he's a good joke writer. I don't think his shit lands. I think he stretches shit out too far, like all that stuff. So, it got me thinking like, I don't know where you guys land on Kevin Hart, but I don't put him in my Mount Rushmore. I don't think he belongs. I don't think he can sniff the great Black comedians or anywhere close to it. And I think it's funny that I think his last stand-up, something that came out like in the middle of COVID, the one he did from his house was awful, like objectively awful. And I think he acknowledged that shit. Like it was bad, I wrote some bad jokes and you don't want them all sort of thing. But I don't think he's that good, man. And
I gotta echo your sentiment. And like, here's the thing, man. The concept of like, oh, I sold this, and that's never ever mattered. Like,
no.
First, especially
for comedy fans, like it never matters how much you.
Yeah, quality is not defined by mass appeal, right? And like, if you're funny, that most people are not funny, right? So. In that sense, like you can't say, well, so and so many people think I'm funny. Like if you're a funny person, you don't like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you understand what I'm trying to get at, right?
Well, if you're funny, you're not talking about ticket sales.
Exactly. It doesn't mean anything for itself, right?
The reception comes to you when you're funny. Who knows you're funny, and you never have to reiterate it. Like. We're comedians here, right? The 4 of us, or maybe the 3 of us, or 4 of us, but like
excluding yourself, of course.
Excluding myself, of course. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but our standards are higher, right? So the mass public standards are low. Like you're able to cater to more people, like the lowest common denominator, right?
Yes,
because
exactly.
They find some of the dumber shit funny, and like you said, he's more of a character. Like he has the high pitched voice. He might deliver a one-liner that doesn't apply to telling. Contextual, nuanced jokes, right? Or jokes that would stand the test of time, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he would be good in sketches and movies. I just never found him funny at all. But most people would be like, I fucking love Kevin Hart. And then when I say that, I lose a little bit of comedy respect.
Honestly,
like, I would never take the recommendations after that.
I look, I'm the same exact way. I acknowledge this, but certain people, I fuck with like your marketing machine and what your accomplishments are. I just don't fuck with your actual product. And Kevin Hart's one of those people.
Yeah,
I
he's
know
also overly saturated. He became very
I think
oversaturated.
there's different classes of comedy, like we talked about. You know, the other thing, with comedy with comedians, there's one way of being a comedian where you're making fun of normal day to day life shit, right? And just your delivery and the way you depict that particular situation or event is what's funny about it. Kevin Hart is more of a guy that likes to create a fabricated story,
Exactly.
and kind of it gets oversaturated and it gets exaggerated, and it kind of ties back to why we like him as an actor versus why we don't like him as a comedian, because when he's best at his stand-up is when he's actually doing those those acts, those little acting scenes of
Yeah, we tell the story, and this happened, and
and,
that
and
happened,
one
and
of
I
his
did
best
this.
his first special was probably my favorite one of his, where there was a lot of acting involved. This is the one where, like, my bank account, transfer money from one account. There was a lot of acting there, right? That was not a real story. That was a completely made up story, and a lot of the other shit that he said in that same stand-up was obviously made up. So I think that's where Kevin Hart feels he's strongest, and it gets, for real comedy fans, it gets kind of played out after a while. You're like, all right, we get it. It's all. So with that, keep it on this topic here. Who are some of your favorite comedians? We talk about just the actual comedian themselves, and maybe you want to shout out some of your best or some of your favorite stand-up specials that they had.
I'll kick it off. I'll give you my 5 in no particular order. Richard Pryor, before my time, but going back through his history and the fact that he just fucking paved the way for so many people. The imitations, the voices, the jokes, like Pryor is Pryor. I mean, he's on the Mount Rushmore. Chappelle, I know Chappelle's taken a kind of weird turn the last couple of years, but I still acknowledge he had some quality joke. Chappelle delivers jokes unlike anybody I've seen in this recent period. Like, Chappelle is a fantastic. His timing is impeccable. His writing is great. He's good. Bernie Mac, left too soon. Bernie Mac made news this week because his daughter is looking. They talking about biopics and who can play him possibly. Bernie Mac, one of these guys, and the next guy kind of fits in this category too, is a good joke writer, but does a lot of kind of freewheeling shit that's just fucking funny, man. Like, really good at physical comedy. Bernie Mac's eyes and the cursing. Nobody can curse like Bernie Mac except maybe like Richard Pryor. So he's up there. Next one is Mike Epps. Very controversial because I don't know many people who like Mike Epps. I think Mike Epps is probably my favorite stand-up right now because he doesn't write jokes. Mike Epps does a lot of impressions of people. You want to see a good black man impersonation? Like, watch Mike Epps. Mike Epps is fucking fantastic. He captures a lot of relationship strife and like fucking problems that you go through on a day-to-day basis. Men getting kicked out and wife hits you and all this other shit. Old men fighting and chains falling on the ground. Mike is great for all that shit. I saw Mike live a couple of years ago. I think at the Warner, and he's fucking rocked it. And my last one, Norm Macdonald, man. Old school guy, dry humor. Could fucking deliver it. If you haven't seen it, I think we talked about it. I'm not sure we talked about it. Norm Macdonald's moth joke that he told, I believe, on Conan. Yeah. Fucking perfect shit. Perfect TV. So yeah, Norm is my guy, man. Just a very different style, but fucking he destroys me every time I listen to him. That's my 5.
Norman's ability to what they call leaning into the bomb, where you're being kind of purposely corny, dry. And they're just kind of giving you that moment to really soak it in and give you
that silence,
that little smirk, like, you know that was dumb as shit, but you're gonna laugh at it anyways, motherfucker. I love that.
Of course, Abdullah loves the corny guy.
Yeah, the corny guy, man. Yeah. Neil.
So I'll say that my top 5 again. I like that Jamal already set it up like this. No particular order.
Yeah.
I'll go Bernie Mac.
Yes.
Love me some Bernie Mac. Even the Bernie Mac show, that shit smacked for me as a childhood.
Underrated.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle, I haven't seen everything, and definitely, his Netflix stuff is probably something that I need to watch more fully. But in the few scenes and skits that I have seen, off the charts. Then I'll go Eddie Murphy, funny guy. I know Zane knows
That's a
that
good one.
his masterpieces are Dr. Doolittle and Dr. Doolittle too.
Yeah,
I know
definitely. Go
Zane
check
knows
those
that. And then I'll go Jerry Seinfeld and Robin Williams. Now,
Robin's
just
a good one. Really
a
good.
little bit different kind of comedy. And
Yeah.
Robin Williams in all his movies, oh man, can't even play like
Robin was brilliant. He was fucking brilliant.
exactly.
Yeah.
So good.
All right, Zane, you want to go? You want to close it out?
I'll go. Top 5. I'm gonna rank them, although it's very loose ranking. Number 5, I'm gonna go with Mitch Hedberg. Very unconventional.
That was an omission on mine. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy like it's weird. I'd rather read his jokes than listen to them.
Really?
Yeah, it's a very unconventional. It's just like I can send it to somebody and I don't have to send them a video because like if you read it, you get it. You know what I'm saying? Like the play on words he does is just it's like stupid shit, but you're just like, who thinks it? Like I wrote a script and I gave it to a guy who reads scripts and he read it and he said he really likes it, but he thinks I need to rewrite it. I said, fuck that, I'll just make a copy. And then he just goes on to the next one, right? Like I like rice. Rice is great if you want to eat 2,000 of something.
He's really good at that one line shit, right?
Yeah, the one line, and then he just moves on to the next one, right?
Like one time he said, "I'm against picketing, but I don't know how to show
how
it."
to show it. Yeah.
You got a receipt for a donut. Like, why do I need a receipt for a donut? Some skeptical friend? Like, don't even act like I didn't buy that donut.
I like refried beans. That's why I want to try fried beans because maybe they're just as good and weren't wasting time. Like. I don't have a microwave oven, but I do have a clock that occasionally cooks shit. Like you can just send somebody this shit and they're just gonna be like, oh, okay.
Oh,
I like Kit Kats unless I'm with 4 more people. Like just relevant, but like
my God, man.
You could also use these as very out of context Instagram captions for no reason. Like
yeah.
Every book is a children's book if the kid can read.
If the kid can read, exactly. There was another one too before I'm gonna finish my list. It was just probably. I gotta find it. I'm finding it right now. It was one of the dumbest things ever, but I felt like it was freaking hilarious.
One of my this picture of me is from when I was young. Because every picture
of you is when you're younger, right? Yeah, that's another classic one. I used to do drugs. Well, I still do, but I used to also.
Yeah.
This is the one. I wrote a letter to my dad. I was gonna write, I really enjoy being here, but I accidentally wrote rarely instead of really. I wanted to use it. I didn't want to cross it out. So I wrote, I rarely drive steamboats, Dad. There's a lot of shit you don't know about me. Quit trying to act like I'm a steamboat operator. I know this letter took a harsh turn right away. Just some dumb shit like that.
This is the greatest, man.
Number 4, I'm going to go George Carlin.
Yeah.
Just his style, he was just, how do I describe it, man? Like some of the shit he talked about in terms of like government and politics and war. He was a well-known atheist, and even as a God-fearing person, I still found a lot of that shit was really funny. You know what I mean? But I just liked his style where he was just shitting on everything about this country, this government.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. That's why they call it the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it, right?
Carlin is also, he's one comedian I see clips dropped on Twitter randomly, like every few months. People still think his shit is really relevant today. And I appreciate that.
Exactly. And that's the thing I like. It's so relevant now, especially with everything that we've seen and we kind of complain about. Yep. He's very negative, which, as you can see in my list, most of the comedians are negative.
Matches you pretty well.
Exactly. And the list, number 3 is probably the most negative comedian I've ever listened to. Bill Burr is just, to me, he's my favorite comedian right now because he's still doing, he has a podcast where he literally just fucking talks about nothing. Like people send him mail, he reads the shit and he just gives his opinion. You know, like he had a whole like 30-minute thing where like somebody sent him a letter talking about the Islamic banking system and like asking for his advice. Funny. And then he was just literally like breaking down the Islamic banking system for like 20, like just stupid shit. Super negative guy, cynical, hates everything. His anger really just shows, like when you're listening to it, it just comes to the speaker, to the speakers. Pause. He's my number 3, and he's from Boston, so you know that comes with its own little shtick.
Austin.
Number 2, I'm gonna go Louis C.K. He's definitely been my favorite comedian the last maybe 20 years. I thought he had a few special run in the 2000s, which was like Chewed Up is one of the funniest stand-ups I've heard. He has that ability, just like Kevin Hart, to tell a story, but there's actually a message to it. You know what I mean? Like there's a joke and there's a punchline, but like something you can take away from it and kind of apply to life.
Moral.
Right? You learn a little something.
Aesop fables up in here.
Yeah, you should check it out, Neil.
I do like Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. Obviously, he's not doing. I haven't listened to any of his comedy anymore. I mean, he's canceled to a degree, but he's definitely been one of my favorites. I wish I had some jokes off the top of my head to go off of, but I'm not. Number one is Chris Rock. Chris Rock pretty much got me into stand-up comedy in the 90s. Never Bigger and Blacker, Never Scared. Those are like the best stand-up specials I've seen. You know what I mean? I love Pryor, I love Eddie Murphy, but those stand-up specials are just like, it's like a performance, and like everything is just, there's so much emotion and the delivery is spot on. And he's talking about
Rock is an amazing joke writer, and he's
a technician, man.
His stand-up is so clean and like
super clean.
It's like it's textbook on how you want to deliver a performance.
And that's what I'm into. So that's why he's my number one. Like just some of the stuff he was talking about, like in the 90s with the OJ trial, and like the way he was able to loop in current events and tell jokes about them and talk about relationships, love.
I think everybody thinks of a Rock joke about once a week. Like if you're really into comedy, a Rock joke will pop up in something you're going through, something you see.
Oh yeah. Now I'm not saying he should have killed her, but I understand.
One of my favorite Rock jokes, I forgot what stand-up this was, when he was like, white women know when to lose weight when black guys start paying attention to them.
Yeah, I think that was the 2001 one. I'm not sure.
Wait, these black guys are all over me.
Yeah.
It's like, that's
just very relevant.
It's true.
But like, it's funny because you talk about Chappelle. Like, I felt like Chappelle, like Kevin Hart would seem like maybe somebody who's fun to hang out with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I wouldn't want to hang out with Chris Rock as much.
No,
because he's more of a technician, less of a character.
Like Mike Epps, his stand-up kind of lends itself to being like that funny motherfucker you want to come and drink.
Yeah, it's very inviting. Yeah,
Definitely. So that's my list.
All right. Well, my list is very similar to yours, Zane. One or two guys off. I'm gonna rank them not by who I think is the best or by my favorite necessarily, but by kind of how their stand up is, how it relates to me in terms of its importance. So I'm gonna start with Seinfeld. Most of his humor is predicated on complaining about things, like just like the most normal things, right? Like it's like socks go missing in the laundry, right? Or like
why would they go missing?
Right? Like stupid shit in greeting cards, like the shit, like day-to-day shit that he just finds a complaint about and just does it so well. So his delivery in that sense is really good. Louis C.K. Would be my fourth. He's more of a guy that likes to exaggerate certain things, like just normal words or phrases that are used. What was one of them? The one, it's incredible, or is it amazing? Really, it amazed you? It amazed you? Really?
It's one of my biggest pet peeves.
It's like we're stealing all the good words, for stupid shit. So
yeah, you used amazing to describe a Wendy's chicken sandwich. What the fuck's gonna happen when something actually important happens in your life?
I'm gonna talk about Chappelle next. Chappelle was one of the first stand-ups that I really listened to and kind of absorbed. And it was more so about Chappelle's ability to tell a story and paint a picture, and you can kind of like scenically play it out in your head, step by step. And one of the first jokes of his that I heard was the one where he talked about his house getting robbed, and he calls the cops, and the cops show up at his door, and they think he's the perp.
Oh yeah.
And he plays out this dialogue with the cops, where the cop is like, "Quick, Johnson, this black guy broke into these people's house and hung up pictures of his family everywhere." And he just went on to a whole different bit about forensics and him having to visit jail. And so for him to be able to kind of key in on real life issues and create a joke out of it, and then paint that image all in sequence, all at the same time. And kind of like, you know, what Zane mentioned earlier, like his ability to just go off the rails sometimes and just like, you know, just kind of just go on his own off script.
He does that everywhere.
And still knock it out.
goes
Yeah,
off
it's
the
so
random
good
shit.
every time. He's one of the comedians that is very receptive to the audience. So if something kind of out of the ordinary happens in the audience, he'll react to it really good, like just as natural as you can for a performer on stage. So Chappelle at 3. Of course, I'm going to talk about Chris Rock as well. Chris Rock, again, just throwing out ideas about real life situations. Like he talked about gun control one time, and he comes up with a solution that comes off as a joke, but it's actually like, that might actually fucking work, right? Like when he talks about gun control and like the transition from gun control to bullet control.
We need bullet control. Every bullet should cost $5,000.
Right? Like,
I'm gonna give me some bullets on layaway, and after I see you, a dead man.
It makes so much fucking sense, but at the same time, like it's just so fucking funny if that ever were to happen. Like we have bullet control, right? $5,000 a pop. Like, can you imagine like the insanity online? Like you got bullet bots and shit.
Bullet bots.
Oh my god.
Real quick on Chris Rock, and now you guys are gonna make me rethink. I loved him because of Everybody Hates Chris, the TV show. They had some funny shit in that shit. There would be the one thing where like, my mama was so mad at me, she slapped me into another race.
They did a lot of stuff that Chappelle just made better, but on the Chris Rock show they hadn't originally.
And I'm gonna wrap this bitch up with George Carlin. Again, I think he's one of the comedians that resonates with me the most. What's intriguing about George Carlin is that he's been doing this shit since like the 1950s, and his theme and his delivery, his talking points, have been very, very, very consistent. His evolution as just, not just a comedian, but just as a human in general, just as life has changed, as things have transpired, his ability to just kind of take all that in and continue to, you know, kind of say what he says, kind of like what Zane alluded to. He's very abrasive, excessive, super vulgar, and brutally honest about everything, right? Like he had this one thing where he was talking about proud parent bumper stickers, right? Like it pissed him off so much that the fact that parents have to like show to the world that they have, you know, a capable child. And he says this one thing. He goes, a better bumper sticker would be, "We are the proud parents of a child whose self-esteem is sufficient enough that he doesn't need us to promote his minor scholastic achievements on the back of our car." Right? He calls school the indoctrination center where children are sent to be stripped of their individuality and turned into obedient, soul-dead, conformist member of the American consumer culture. I mean, like shit like that. Like, you know, it's just rambling off the rail shit that just makes so much sense when you actually kind of dissect it and think about it. So those are my top 5. I did have Bill Burr as an honorable mention, but we'll leave it there. Detention's up next.
Hey, what is going on here?
All right, we're gonna speed through these. Jamal, of course, you are the main guy for Detention every week. You got everybody's laundry ready to air out. Barstool Sports is first.
Fuck Barstool Sports.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Fuck that MAGA light sports version of a spilled drink on a deck party at a frat house. I hate that fucking site. I hate all the guys that contribute to it. These guys decided to go at Drake and LeBron because they were going wild on the sidelines during one of Bronny's games. Their headline was something like Drake and LeBron go to Bronny's game and make it all about themselves. You miserable fucks, that's what youth sports and being a dad is all about. You go have fun. But you wouldn't know anything about that because your motherfuckers are terrible.
Out of all of the meme content that was possible out of that, and that was the headline that they came up with.
They're such shitty people. But if it weren't for LeBron and, you know, making it a whole platform to shit on LeBron once a week, they wouldn't have much content. They're fucking miserable assholes.
So tell that to Skip Bayless.
So there's two sides to this, not in terms of Barstool. Barstool's, you know, fuck them, but there was the ongoing jokes about Drake, right? Just kind of being the center of attention we were
Yeah,
talking about. So we got those jokes off, but
yeah.
yeah, this other shit.
I hate Barstool.
Yeah, fuck all that. Chrissy Teigen, some truths has spilled out about her.
Yeah, Chrissy Teigen had to come out this past week and basically admit to being a professional troll. She's encouraged people to commit suicide. She's lied on people and almost ruined people's careers and had them suicidal. And she had to, she got off Twitter, then she came back, and she got dumped on pretty bad. And at once I tried to defend her a little bit until I saw some of the stuff that she admitted to doing, and I was like, "Oh, you're a terrible person. People
have actually killed themselves because of her."
One guy was suicidal to the point where this guy in the fashion industry, she accused him of being racist, ruined all his shit, and he said he was actually writing letters to his family. He was about to commit suicide, and he had to pull himself back in because Chrissy was in his DMs talking shit, like lying on him, spreading it to other people. Yeah, she's terrible. She's terrible. And I feel bad for John Legend because he's a very nice, affable guy, and on the other side, he's got this woman, his wife, who's a fucking piece of shit.
To think I ever fantasized about her.
Listen,
she's terrible, bro.
You could kind of see it coming, but you kind of couldn't because a lot of her backlash and a lot of the shit that she did on Twitter was against, kind of conservatives, and Candace Owens was probably her biggest or one of her first feuds, right? Yeah. So we knew her as such, and that's crazy. It's crazy how sometimes you just don't know. Some of these people are just trolls on the internet, on Twitter, and they got this whole other side that kind of
she lost the family a lot of money. She lost endorsements. She lost a lot of shit because of how terrible she is. So
wow, yeah. All right, well, I'm gonna wrap this thing up. Big Baby Davis, man, and this whole Celtics logo shit. Ever since Kyrie stepped on that logo, you've had Boston fans all over. It's a lot of the discourse, a lot of the language is kind of like flag defending, which is annoying as well. So Big Baby comes out here. I'm gonna play a real quick bit, real quick.
Everybody mad at me because Kyrie Irving stepped on Lucky and Lucky got his get back. Don't get mad at me because Lucky got his get back. I didn't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Karma is a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? You do right by people. People do right by you, and I don't care. I don't care if it's a logo. I don't even care if it's a logo. It means something to me.
Oh God!
First of all, motherfucker, it's a logo, right? Fuck Lucky,
right?
Fuck that Celtics. Okay. Right. Second of all, you going to down this hill for the Celtics, motherfucker. You started 31 out of 277 games in 4 years, averaging less than 7 points a game in 21 minutes. A 6'9", 290-pound dude shaped like a depository safe who averaged less than 4 rebounds, and you fucking going at Kyrie and talking about karma over the fucking logo.
Who cried on the bench? Let's never forget. That's his crowning moment.
Yeah, and we're gonna go back to the whole meme game and the whole gift game. Yeah, that's your biggest accomplishment. Yeah, that fucking tongue flapping.
Yes, exactly. that's your mark in Boston sports history. Yeah.
All right, that got hotter than I expected it to. I guess. Fuck that logo, man. And fuck Kelly Olynyk too, forever. All right, man. We're gonna push this 2-hour limit one of these days. We're gonna give you a 3-part podcast one of these
Look,
weeks.
man, we do this because we got something for everybody on this motherfucker.
That's something
for everybody.
Everybody.
That's right.
Everybody, very inclusive. And we're gonna end it right there. Thank you for joining us once again. For Jamal, for Neil, for myself, for Zane. I'm going in order of the fucking the video boxes. So we out. PTP.